What if I told you that the fastest way to success is also the one that leads nowhere? What if the very thing you're chasing is keeping you stuck? This is the story of Daiki, a young man who believed he had found the shortcut to success, only to learn a lesson he would never forget. Imagine dedicating your life to achieving your dreams. You work tirelessly, climb every ladder, and push through every obstacle, believing that success is just around the corner. Yet, despite all your effort, you feel like you're running in circles, like no matter how fast you move, you're not getting any closer to where you want to be. For years, Daiki struggled. He was tired of waiting, tired of the long hours and endless setbacks. He wanted results fast. Then, one day, he heard about Master Hiroshi, a monk said to possess the secret to rapid success. Desperate for answers, Daiki left everything behind and embarked on a journey to find him. Now, standing at the edge of the temple grounds, gazing down at two distinct paths, one short and easy, the other long and winding, Daiki is about to discover a truth that will challenge everything he thought he knew about success. If this story intrigues you, if you've ever wished for success to come faster, stick around, because Master Hiroshi's lesson might just change the way you see your own journey. And if you're ready to explore more transformative stories like this, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. That way, you'll never miss a lesson that could change the way you see the world. Oh, and if you're enjoying this story so far, leave a like. It's a small way to show your support and help others discover this content too. Now, let's step into the temple and uncover the monk's surprising answer. The cool mountain air rushed past Daiki as he sprinted down the short, straight path. His heart raced, not from exhaustion, but from excitement. This is it, he thought. This is the shortcut everyone else is too blind to take. The road was smooth, effortless. No steep inclines, no rough terrain, no obstacles. He smirked, imagining how long it would take others to struggle up the winding mountain path while he had already figured out the easiest way forward. But then something strange happened. Just as he felt like he was making real progress, the path curved slightly, barely noticeable at first. The trees around him looked similar to the ones before, but he ignored it. Then, ahead of him, a familiar sight came into view, a cherry blossom tree, and Master Hiroshi. Daiki stopped abruptly, his breath heavy. What? How did I end up back here? Master Hiroshi looked up from his tea, unfazed. You have returned. I must have taken a wrong turn, Daiki insisted. Perhaps. The monk gestured toward the path again. Try once more. Daiki narrowed his eyes, but refused to question the opportunity. He must have made a mistake. This time, he ran faster, more determined than before. The path was still smooth, still easy. But as he reached the end, he found himself at the beginning again. The same cherry blossom tree. The same monk. The same smirk on Master Hiroshi's face. Frustration burned in Daiki's chest. This makes no sense. Master Hiroshi simply pointed toward the travelers on the distant long road, the ones slowly climbing the mountain, step by step. While you run in circles, they move forward. Daiki turned to look at them. Some of them stumbled, some had paused to catch their breath, and some had even fallen and gotten back up. And yet not one of them was stuck. He clenched his fists. That road is too slow. There must be another way. Master Hiroshi took a slow sip of his tea. Ah, impatience, the root of many struggles. You seek speed, but what you truly desire is progress. And those, he gestured to the travelers, are not the same thing. Daiki turned his back on the monk, staring at the two roads before him. The short road was tempting, so easy, so direct, so fast. But if speed was all that mattered, why had he not moved forward at all? Daiki stood at the crossroads, staring at both roads. The short path, so inviting, so easy. But it had betrayed him. It had promised speed but delivered nothing but frustration. The long road, on the other hand, stretched endlessly into the mountains, winding through dense forests and steep inclines. It looked slow, difficult, and exhausting. He turned to Master Hiroshi, his fists clenched. Why would anyone take the harder road when an easier one exists? Master Hiroshi placed his cup of tea on the ground and met Daiki's gaze. because only one of them leads somewhere. Daiki exhaled sharply, frustration bubbling up again. Fine. If this is the only way to succeed, I'll do it. He took his first step onto the long road. At first, it wasn't as bad as he expected. The path was uneven but manageable. The incline was steep, but not unbearable. But soon, the reality of the journey set in. The road was grueling. His muscles burned. His breath came in ragged gasps, and the sun felt hotter with every step. The travelers who had been ahead of him moved at their own paces. Some paused to rest, some helped each other up rocky slopes, and others walked in complete silence, focused on their steps. Daiki, however, was impatient. "Why are they moving so slow?" he muttered. Determined to prove his worth, he pushed himself harder, rushing past the others, refusing to stop. But the faster he moved, the quicker exhaustion caught up to him. His legs ached. His breath felt shallow. His vision blurred. Suddenly, his foot caught on a loose stone, and before he could react, he was falling. The impact sent him rolling down the path, dust flying as he tumbled back to where he had started. Master Hiroshi, still seated beneath the cherry blossom tree, didn't even flinch. "Ah," the monk mused, "you have discovered another truth about success." Daiki coughed, wincing as he sat up. "What truth?" He spat. "That rushing does not get you there faster." Daiki looked back up the mountain. The travelers who had taken their time, who had moved with patience and persistence, were still ahead of him. He had started after them, rushed to overtake them, but because of his impatience, he had ended up behind them once again. His own mind had been his greatest obstacle, not the road, not the incline, not even the exhaustion. Master Hiroshi poured another cup of tea and smiled. "The road will never change for you, Daiki. Only you can change for the road." Daiki exhaled, the weight of the lesson settling in his chest. For the first time, he truly understood why there were no shortcuts. Daiki sat on the ground, his breathing uneven, his body aching from exhaustion. His legs felt like lead, and yet, despite the pain, something inside him had shifted. For the first time, he wasn't angry. For the first time, he wasn't searching for a shortcut. For the first time, he was present. Master Hiroshi sipped his tea in silence, watching him. The wind rustled through the cherry blossoms, their petals drifting lazily in the air. Finally, Daiki broke the silence. "So what now?" The monk didn't answer right away. Instead, he placed his cup down, folded his hands in his sleeves, and gestured toward the long path once more. "Now you walk." Daiki hesitated. He had taken this road before. He had failed before. But this time, something was different. This time, he did not run. He took his first step onto the long path once again. At first, the weight of the journey still bore down on him. The rocky terrain, the steep inclines, the endless stretch of road ahead. But instead of rushing forward in frustration, he focused on just one step at a time. One step, then another, and something incredible happened. The struggle was still there, but it no longer felt unbearable. Instead of fixating on how far he had to go, he started paying attention to the path itself. He saw the other travelers differently now. Some were far ahead, moving at their own pace. Others had just started their journey. Some, like him, had stumbled before finding their rhythm. And yet, every single one of them was moving forward. They weren't running. They weren't trying to outpace each other. But they weren't stuck either. Daiki started to notice things he had ignored before. The sharp rocks that had once frustrated him were now teaching him balance. The steep inclines that had exhausted him were now building his strength. The moments when he had to slow down, when his body ached, when he had to pause and breathe, they weren't setbacks. They were part of the journey. Master Hiroshi's words echoed in his mind. "The road will never change for you. Only you can change for the road." And for the first time, Daiki understood. The road was not the enemy. The journey was not a burden. The struggle was the very thing shaping him. His entire life, he had been looking for shortcuts, for the fastest way to reach success. But success had never been about reaching the end faster. Success was about becoming the person who could reach the end at all. Daiki exhaled, feeling lighter than he had in years. He didn't need to fight the path anymore. He just needed to walk it. And so, step by step, he kept moving forward. Have you ever chased success, only to feel like you were running in circles? Maybe the answer isn't in finding shortcuts, but in learning to walk the right path. The mountain wind whispered through the trees as Daiki climbed higher, his footsteps steady, his breath controlled. He had stopped rushing. He had stopped searching for shortcuts. He had stopped fighting the journey. And for the first time, he was truly moving forward. The days passed, and with each step, he felt himself changing. His legs, once weak, had grown stronger. His mind, once impatient, had become calm. The same road that had once frustrated him was now his greatest teacher. Then, one morning, as the sun cast its first golden light across the valley, Daiki reached the peak. The temple stood before him, its wooden gates open, as if they had been waiting for him all along. Master Hiroshi was there, standing at the entrance. He smiled, as though he had expected this moment. "So you have arrived." Daiki nodded, a deep sense of fulfillment in his chest. "It took longer than I expected." The monk chuckled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Did it? Or did it take exactly as long as it needed to?" Daiki thought about this. The journey had felt endless when he was rushing, but when he let go of his impatience, time had no longer been the enemy. Master Hiroshi gestured for him to sit. "Tell me, Daiki, what did you learn?" Daiki exhaled slowly, choosing his words carefully. "That shortcuts don't lead anywhere. And that success isn't about getting there fast. It's about becoming the person who can." The monk nodded approvingly. "And now that you know this, do you still seek the fastest way?" Daiki shook his head, a small smile forming on his lips. "No, master. I seek the right way." Master Hiroshi smiled. "Then your journey has truly begun." Daiki looked over the valley below, seeing the same winding path he had once feared. But now, he felt no frustration, no doubt, no rush. The path had been his greatest struggle, and yet it had given him everything he needed. The greatest secret of success was never hidden. It had always been right in front of him. What's one lesson you've learned from your own journey? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If this story made you reflect, if it helped you see your own journey in a new light, consider leaving a like. It's a simple act, but one that helps this message reach others who might need it today. And if you're ready to explore more stories like this, ones that challenge your perspective and help you grow, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. That way, you'll never miss a lesson that could change the way you see the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and remember, the answers you seek may already be closer than you think.